Tammy said better than I could that one big difference between her and her opponent, Tommy Thompson, is that she stood up to the special interests and he stood up for them. And that's a pretty significant difference in an election where we're being buried and all these super PAC ads. Tammy got well ahead of the polls, and then all the secret out-of-state money said, oh my God, we thought we owned Wisconsin. And they're sending in all these ads, including they're still trying to run that mangy old Medicare dog charge at her, which I will answer for you one more time before we get done. This is a big deal. We don't need any more people that think we ought to do away with Medicare in Congress. We don't need anybody else to trickle down economics in the Congress of the United States. And really, if you look at all the money Crossroads is putting into Wisconsin, that's the super PAC, the secret super PAC run by Karl Rove. You all remember Karl Rove, don't you? Now, he was part of a great economic record. He's out there plugging for Governor Romney and plugging for Tommy Thompson. And if you like the economics of the previous 8 years, you will just love what they do. You got to follow the money sometimes, folks. You can't listen to the rhetoric, especially when there's no facts behind it. So, I just want to say one thing. There are many things that I could say about Tammy Baldwin, but there are a couple that I think are particularly important. One is, she took on this race when people thought she didn't have a chance, and she kept fighting for you until you lifted her up. Don't let her down now. That it was her amendment that guaranteed in this health care reform law that young people under 26 would be able to be carried on their parents' insurance plan. You can count on them. Now let me say a little about what the practical choice is involving her and involving the President and Governor Romney. The truth is, given all the stuff he said for 2 years running for president, and the real record of the president, this shouldn't be a race. The only reason it is that Americans are impatient, want things done day before yesterday, and they understand why the economy is not totally hunky-dory now. Well, the most important authority probably in the world, certainly in the United States, on this is a Nobel Prize-winning economist from Harvard named Kenneth Rogoff. And I think he's a moderate Republican, by the way. So he wrote this book with a colleague called This Time It's Different, about this financial crisis and all the ones since World War II, although he talks about it for the last 500 years. And he sent me a signed copy of the book. And I read it. And then I went back and read the middle chapters, if you want to look at it, 13, 14, and 15, twice. And before I spoke at the Democratic Convention in Charlotte, I called him on the phone. And I said, Ken, you went out of your way not to say exactly how long you think it would take America to return to full employment and a robust economy. So what do you think? He said, well, after 10 years, Japan hadn't done it, after they had a real estate crash and a banking crash. If you have both, that's about what it takes. But he said we could do better, 7, 8 years. He said maybe we could do it 7 because we found all this new energy. We're first in the world, we're second in the capacity to generate electricity from the sun and the wind, and there's millions of jobs in that. We've got great scientific and technological capacity, great laboratory and research capacity in our universities. It's a good place to start a business. Maybe we could beat that. But you couldn't, nobody. I said, no living soul could have done it in 4 years, could they? He said, no. And he said, besides that, the president didn't have 4 years, he had 3 years, because we lost jobs for the whole first year he was there, because when he took office, we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. So the first thing he had to do was spend a year trying to make sure we did not fall into a depression. So I get tickled every time I see one of these debates, and Governor Romney acts like from the minute the president took his hand off the Bible, he was responsible for every lost job. So let's just take a little walk down fact lane. Losing jobs that weren't going to have a depression and started clawing our way back. For the last 32 months, this economy has produced 5.3 million private sector jobs. That is more than twice as many private sector jobs as were produced in the Bush administration if you don't count any of the financial crisis against them. And if you don't count the first 6 months when the dot-com stocks busted a little bit, we had a very brief recession. Give it all away. Don't count any of those against it. Just 7 years. 32 months, 5.3 million. 7 years, 2.6 million. Invest and grow in the middle class and giving poor people an honorable way to work their way into it works better than trickle down.